This one is a good one. Yeah, I like this one.
Talking about toilet water?
Not exactly.
Oh.
Do any of you guys, Travis, Sarah, you have one of those Stanley cups or water bottles?
My daughter does. She's obsessed with Stanley cups. But I have like a gem water bottle that I don't even want to know about it.
You're about to find out.
That I like rarely wash it.
Yeah. Trey, you use any of those water bottles?
I do. I have like a big, I don't know what the brand is, I forgot, but I do have one.
All right, you guys are going to have to
You're
listen
not
up.
a Stanley Cup man?
No, not at all.
You don't have the accessories?
Dude, that whole Stanley Cup
Not
thing,
at
all right,
all.
I'm going to derail my own segment here. Like, what is this obsession with the Stanley Cups? Like, my daughter fell into that too. She's like, I have to have a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I refused to buy her one. Her dad
I'm
bought
just
her
like,
one.
I mean, I'm going to tell you, I do use, so I don't know what the word is for those
Insulated.
insulate, is it just
Like the metal insulated
yes,
ones?
a metal insulated cup.
Yeah,
I have
those
a cup.
have been around forever.
Yeah, they have. Yeti was like the first
Yeah.
one, right? Yeah.
Everybody used to have a Yeti.
Yeah, and so I do use those, but I use them for like, I have one that I got as a gift, like a best man gift, that's like a tumbler, and so I mix drinks in it.
Yeah.
Because it'll keep it cold forever.
Yeah.
And then if I'm out by the pool, I have one that I think I got from one of the hospitals that has my name on it, and I'll put like, soda or water, sometimes a drink in it to sit by the pool because it keeps it cold.
Yeah.
But this obsession with like the Stanley cups, I just don't get.
Yeah.
Like, it's a cup.
There was like a thing that came out about like some Stanley Cups having like lead poisoning in it.
Oh God.
And so like Avery, my daughter, was super scared of it. So
Really?
because she watches little like YouTube reels and like all that stuff, and she'll go on like she
Stanley
got
Cup's gonna give
paranoid.
you
She's
lead
like,
poison.
Mom, I need to get my Stanley Cup tested for lead. So like I just ordered a little lead testing kit. They're like,
Did you really test it?
yeah,
And it was negative.
yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, it just made her feel better. She's like, I'm never using this again. And I was like,
Oh
oh
my
my God.
Well, we can't deny that reusable water bottles are extremely popular, and this question has popped up: are they a potential source of harm? There was a new study that came out, and it suggests that your water bottle might be dirtier than your toilet seat. This is from a website called waterfilterguru.com.
Okay.
Travis, I think I got that's it. If you want to look them up. I don't know how scientific their study was. I kind of read through it. I mean, it's not like a study that comes out in a medical journal. This is this organization that did a study. And what they did is they took a bunch of water bottles of different types, actually, which was pretty interesting. And they did 3 cultures of each one looking for bacteria.
Okay.
And they found a lot of bacteria. They found gram-negative rods and bacillus, which are, just common bacteria that are out there. And also ones that are easier to grow in water, which makes sense. And they looked at CFUs, which is colony forming units. So exactly, how many individual bacteria is there for a certain area? And the results were pretty surprising. So the average CFUs on a water bottle was 21 million.
Okay.
21 million bacteria. It's a pretty high number. But bacteria is small, so, And the type made a big difference. So this is where, if you guys like water bottles, then this is where you want to listen up. If it was a spout lid or screw top lid, it had on average 30 million.
What's a spout lid?
A spout
It's
lid.
like pour. You can like pour it into your mouth.
A spout's the one where you flick it, like you put your finger on, you flick it, and it pops up,
Okay.
and then you drink it.
Okay.
Screw top obviously is the ones like the metal ones you see, like almost like a canteen.
Okay.
Okay, they had pictures of them. I don't feel bad. I was like kind of confused. I had to like look at the pictures. Like, wait, spout, screw, what is all this? So spout lid and screw top lid were the worst. That
Okay.
was 30 million. A straw lid was not as bad. It had 20 million. So straw lids are the ones where it's got like a little stopper and you flick it and then you like put straw in your mouth.
Yeah, that's the one Avery has. I have the one that's the dirtiest, I guess.
Oh, you do. The best one, and I don't know why this is, was a squeeze top lid, which is one where you just, I guess it's got a little stopper internal and you just dump it over and you squeeze it. And it only had 3 million. It had 10 times less back.
So like the old school one where you can open it with your mouth.
I guess,
squeeze
yeah,
it.
I think so. Yeah.
It's probably because you don't have to touch it with your hands.
Bingo! That's exactly right. Yeah, the ones you have to touch with your hands are going to have a lot more bacteria. And that is, That is the reason that these things have such high bacteria counts. I mean, anything that you touch with your hands is going to have bacteria on it because you touch doorknobs and you touch these cups and I'm touching this table and I'm touching these note cards and you touch stuff and there's bacteria everywhere and it picks up on your hands and then you touch your water bottle where there's water, which is a good source for bacteria to get nutrients and grow. And also a lot of those things have like little parts in the bacteria get into like the crevices or the latches and all that.
And then if you put other stuff in it besides water,
bam, that's exactly right.
Gross.
Sugary drinks, bacteria love sugary drinks.
Yeah.
And they can really, really grow. And so they went on and did a little bit more testing, and they compared the bacterial counts to common items in your house. So they compared it to a toilet seat. So they used the average. 21 million was for the water bottles. Toilet seat had an average of 500, which that sounds pretty low to me. But I guess you're not touching it with your hands.
Hopefully not.
And hopefully not. And I assume that toilets get cleaned pretty regularly. So the count was actually pretty low. So pet bowl, the average pet bowl has 1.5 million CFUs or colony forming units. So that was about what would that be? 15 times less. Computer mouse, average computer mouse has 4 million bacteria on it, or coliform units, which is 7 times lower than 21 million. And then the kitchen sink has an average of 12 million. So, which makes sense. It's water.
Yeah.
You do touch it. You don't touch it as much, though, I think. And I think that's why it might have half as much. So, of course, that brings up the next question of, okay, well, if I'm going to use a water bottle, how am I going to keep these bacteria counts down? And of course the answer is you have to wash these things.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure a lot of people
Did they compare in the study, did they compare how much bacteria is on like a one that's been cleaned like once a day?
They didn't get into that amount of detail. No.
I'd be interested because everything has bacteria on it.
Right, exactly. I would assume that they tested one that's been used all day, I would guess. Because you're right. I mean, everything has bacteria on it. These numbers sound really high and scary, but then it's like, oh, well, my kitchen sink that, in my kitchen around my food has 12 million. Computer mouse has 4. So, the recommendation was if you want to keep these bacteria counts low as possible, you need to wash it after each use, which means that, that means you might have to wash these things. There are people out there that will go through several bottles a day.
Yeah.
You really need to wash it after each use. And then once a week, you need to sanitize it. So that means like soak it in super hot water or some other type of soap to get the bacteria off those little crevices and stuff where they hide. And they looked at how often people wash these things, and honestly, it was a little bit better than I thought. It was a little bit over half of the people wash these things every day. I kind of assumed the worst, that very few people are washing these things.
I need to wash Avery's. I need to
yeah,
put
it
in
makes
the
you think.
dishwasher. The Stanley ones though are dishwasher safe.
Are they?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, that's nice.
And whenever the straw, that's the only part that can get like bacteria in it is the straw, and you can wash that in this washing machine too.
Oh, can you?
The dishwasher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also have to ask, okay, there's all this bacteria on these things. Are people getting sick from this? I mean,
Maybe it's helping their immune system.
I don't think they are.
They're hydrated, at least.
Right. It makes it easier to fight off those infections. I mean, there's bacteria on everything around us, and we're constantly shaking hands. We're touching doorknobs. I mean, we've got bacteria all over us.
Yeah.
It's a little harder for bacteria to grow on us, but we're exposed to bacteria all the time, and I'm not surprised that there's a lot of bacteria on these water bottles, but I'm also not sure that we need to sound the alarms and start, this massive campaign to. I mean, yes, people should be washing these things, but obviously people are going through their days and drinking these water bottles, and they're not all getting sick.
Yeah, I think it's something to think about, but not something to dwell on. Like, hey, maybe this is, if you're listening, maybe this is your cue to be like, I guess maybe I should wash that.
Yeah, I should wash this thing once a day,
Yeah, rinse it out a little bit.
And I think it's good to know that, things like using sugary drinks are going to increase the bacterial counts. And if you're somebody that's immunocompromised, or if maybe someone in your family's immunocompromised, then maybe this is a little bit more important.
At least they're not reusing plastic water bottles. That's really bad for you, isn't it? Like the plastic. Because it degrades.
Oh, it doesn't?
People sometimes will reuse like plastic.
Like plastic water bottles? That sounds like a bad idea.
It is. It's a horrible idea.
I've never done any research into if this
People be doing that.
Really?
Yeah.
So much out there you have to watch out for these days. It's a
People
wonder-
that think they're like recycling. I'm like, but you're putting microplastics in your body.
Oh, the
when
micro.
You, do
You
that.
know, we've never talked about the microplastics.
Yeah.
You see article. We should probably do a segment about microplastics.
We need to. I think it's like, I've heard like it affects guys a lot with their testosterone levels.
Really? All right, I'm gonna have to look at. I've seen the articles on the microplastics, and I was just like, no, I don't want to talk about.
You don't want to know about it.
I know,
There's so
I
much plastic everywhere.
I probably have these things just infesting in me, and I don't even know it. But yeah, pretty interesting topic. So I guess we'll recap this one. Trey, let me do that. So today on Nip Talk, we were talking about a recent study by waterfilterguru.com that suggested that your reusable water bottle, like your Stanley Cup or Yeti, is actually dirtier than a toilet seat. They were taking cultures off these water bottles and seeing how many bacteria were on them and comparing them to other household items. And surprise, surprise, if you culture a water bottle, it is going to grow bacteria. The main reason for that is people touch them with their hands a lot, which our hands have bacteria on it, and these things have stagnant water, which is a great place for bacteria to grow. It does depend on what type of water bottle you have, just how much bacteria. Some of the worst ones are spout lids and screw top lids, which can have 30 million colony forming units. Straw lids are kind of in the middle of 20 million. The best is the squeeze top lid, the lowest, 3 million. Compared to household items, yes, these things actually have a lot more bacteria on them than things like a toilet seat or a dog bowl or your computer mouse or a kitchen sink. I don't think people are really getting super sick from these bacteria, but it does make you think that maybe you should wash these things. They are recommended to be washed after every use, even if that's multiple times a day, and sanitize them once a week to keep these bacteria counts down, which can be important if you or someone in your household is immunocompromised. Something to think about. So, cool stuff.
Yeah.
I
Like,
think
it brings about a new like way of thinking with like everything in the kitchen sink
yeah.
on your straw
Yes.
or on your water bottle.
I mean, you know, in my biz,
everything and the toilet seat.
yeah, I mean, that might
is
be the
on
cleanest
yours.
place in the house, the
Yeah.
toilet seat, according to that study. Yeah, you know, I mean, being a doctor, I fully realize there's bacteria all over everything. I mean, I remember when I got into med school and looking at studies about how much bacteria the doctor's stethoscope has on it, you know,
Yeah,
and
I've
it brought
read
up,
that
oh,
too.
should we carry stethoscopes? And fortunately, I don't carry a stethoscope these days. I have one. It's in my truck in case I ever need to listen for a heart murmur on the out in the field or something.
On the highways.
On the highway. Can I get you guys to slow down so I can listen to this heart murmur?
You seem stressed. Let me check that.
Yeah, right. But yeah, interesting stuff. So.